We long for meaning and exploring otherness because we're so terrified of what lies within. So, in the grand scheme of things, it takes rather a lot for a book to give me nightmares. But there is one book in particular, this one right here, that never fails to sink its claws into the deepest, darkest recesses of my psyche, and that is Solaris by Stanisław Lew. Stanisław Lew was born in 1921 in Poland and was a hard sci-fi writer recognised worldwide in the genre, whose work inspired countless others and was visionary for its time in the sense that it anticipated AI and virtual reality. And the interesting thing about Stanisław Lew's writing is that in 1950s Poland, i.e. communist dictatorial Poland, censorship on writers was really, really strong, and one of the ways that writers got round this was by writing sci-fi. Oh, you want to write realistically about the social and political structure of 1950s Poland? No! Want to write the exact same thing but taking place on a planet entirely populated by robots? Okay! But despite this, he still had to include stuff about how great communism was to keep the government happy. In the 1960s and 70s, his work was mostly ignored by Polish critics because it was generally regarded as being just for kids. In other words, we're a bunch of elitist snobs. But this actually worked in Lew's favour because it helped him get around a lot of the censorships that were in place at the time. Lessons in bypassing political censorship with Stanisław Lew. Just write about robots and the government will ignore you. Worked for me. But despite all of this, most of his work was extremely popular and is still published in the USA to this day. And considering the English-speaking world's reluctance to translate anything that's not originally in English, that is success right there. Solaris was published in 1961 and is still to this day one of Stanisław Lew's most celebrated pieces of work. Aliens have been used in works of sci-fi for centuries for various different reasons and to various different ends. Some are an exploration of what humanity could have been had they chosen a different route, staying close to nature and not going down a technological path, for example. Some are there to help us relate to the problems and issues of different species from different planets, thus helping us relate more to our fellow humans. Or to just blatantly make us run out of a cinema screaming and go and hide in the toilet. Or comedic effect.
Or just really cool death metal album covers.
But the overall dream is that we are not alone in this vast universe of hundreds of stars and planets. And the further dream is that we can learn to communicate with advanced species from other planets. Learn to communicate and understand and share. Find something in common with intelligent beings from a vastly different world than our own. The fabled contact. And for this reason, most aliens in works of sci-fi appear human. They may have different skin colours, different sizes, but they generally look like us. They have 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs, body hair. They have features and traits that we recognise as our own and therefore makes them easier to relate to. They usually have mouths so they can speak and communicate, or have a thought process that we can relate to and understand in some way. They are, for all intent and purpose, a study in humanity. Stanisław Lew, however, went to the H.P. Lovecraft school of aliens, the colour out of space school, if you will, where aliens are so, well, alien that they exist completely outside of the sphere of human understanding. This novel takes place in a distant future where the human race has discovered life on another planet, Solaris. An ocean. A living ocean. Not an ocean teeming with life like our ocean. A living ocean, an ocean that is alive. How do you communicate with it? You don't. In this world, there is an entire branch of scientific planetology entirely devoted to studying the ocean on Solaris, with studies and theories and speculations being thrown around and millions of words being written on the subject. And this for decades and decades and decades. The alien is either unintelligent, so it can't communicate with humans. Maybe it is intelligent, but simply does not possess the means to communicate with humans. Or maybe it just doesn't care and doesn't think that humans are worth communicating with. Whichever one is worse. The story takes place on a research station above Solaris, where the main character Chris joins the 3 resident scientists. However, when he arrives, he discovers that there's actually only 2 of them, Dr. Snout and Dr. Sartorius. At first, Chris only encounters Snout, who's extremely fidgety, and explains to Chris in a really weird way that there are other people on the station. People who shouldn't be there. Chris is extremely dismissive of this, thinking that Snout has gone insane, until he crosses a strange woman in the corridor who isn't one of the scientists. So who is she and how did she get there? Chris tries to visit Dr. Sartorius, but he won't let him inside his lab, and again acts really strangely. It also appears that there is somebody else inside the lab with him. Again, somebody who shouldn't be there. The next morning, Chris wakes up to find he is in the presence of his deceased wife, Hare, and she appears for all the world like his Hare. She speaks like her, acts like her, but also seems to know things that she couldn't possibly have known when she was alive. It seems that she is some kind of manifestation from Chris's psyche, one that has a particularly deep and dark meaning to him. When I say this book is terrifying, as I said before, aliens and sci-fi are usually there to teach us something about humanity. Only they exist on an exterior level from humans. This, however, is a manifestation of the deepest, darkest secret inside the minds of these people on board this research station on board Solaris. Their manifestation does appear to have something to do with the alien ocean, but they never find out what that is. And the thing that makes this book so terrifying is not that these manifestations are monstrous, they're not dangerous or try to hurt the scientists in any way. There is nothing horrific about this novel. It's always hard to look upon our own selves and our own humanity and recognize the darkness of it, the difficulties that we may have expressing or understanding our own emotions, the issues we may have relating to other people and understanding them, learning empathy and compassion, maybe understanding how fucked up the world we live in is and how badly we treat other people. These things can be hard to recognize and accept, which is why sci-fi and aliens make it easier to do that. Instead of pointing at the flaws as ourselves within a human race, we're pointing them out but within the sphere of a completely different world with different creatures that only exist in these fantasy worlds. A sugar-coated lesson in being a better person. This book, however, just slaps the reader in the face. We all have some dark secret locked inside our soul, something that we can never even forgive ourselves for. That is what this book is about. The most horrifying experiences of our lives that we cannot understand and cannot control. The things we lock away inside our minds that are too dark even for us to face. A great quote from this book is,
Human beings set out to encounter other worlds, other civilizations, without having fully gotten to know their own hidden recesses, their blind alleys, well shafts, dark barricaded doors.
We long for meaning and exploring otherness because we're so terrified of what lies within. It's easier to build space-traveling ships and go and explore other worlds hundreds of light years away from our own, rather than looking inside our own psyche. So even though the alien on Solaris can't communicate in any way with the humans on board the station, it still teaches us something about our humanity. And it's probably the hardest lesson of all. And when you think about it, it makes more sense that an entity from a completely different world that has nothing to do with our own wouldn't be able to communicate with us. Just think about all the other species that we have on our own planet. Sure, there are some that we manage to find companionship with and understand their behaviors and ways of functioning by studying them. But when it actually comes down to it, we can't talk to our cats and dogs, even though we share their lives every single day. We can't talk to the tiny yellow octopus at the bottom of the ocean, or the mollusks that live on the shores. And these are creatures that live on our own planet. Bioluminescent jelly, for God's sakes! Even those species that are intelligent don't seem to really want to communicate with us. Either that, or they just don't have the means to do so. The closest thing we've ever got is teaching a gorilla sign language. And that's one of the species that has the most in common with us out of all the squillions of species we share this world with. So why would a creature that evolved on a completely different world that has nothing to do with our own bear any resemblance to us whatsoever? It seems that what we're really searching for in the universe may be an intelligent species that simply isn't as messed up as ours. We also never get to see the visitors of Dr. Snout and Dr. Sartorius, even though we're led to believe that Dr. Sartorius's visitor is a child with a straw hat. What was Luffy's dad doing when he was a kid? Was he really leading an army and organising a rebellion, or was he on another planet studying an alien ocean? We will never know. Thank you so much for watching this video and spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Tell me if you've read this book, what you thought of it, and if there are any other books you think I should read. I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, please subscribe to my channel. It really means a lot to me. Leave a like, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye-bye.